I want to give you guys a brief description of the overall ship. This is a rather large, like 5.5 foot long drawing I have mounted here in the shop of the Discovery. So what I'll do is I'll walk over to it, and here we have, rather dilapidatedly, this is the command module. This ball thing is called the command module. This piece behind it here is called the collar. This piece here is called the neck, and then it includes this little thing here. This will all be from here forward will be one removable piece. From here backward to here will be another removable piece. Then after that we have these modules that are on the spine separated by these connectors. There are 10 of this type. And then you reach the center. There's one of this type. It's four-sided. Sloping face on top faces the rear of the ship. Then we have 4 more of these guys, each one separated by one of these separators, these spine connectors. Then we have the engine section, which is all one piece, and the engines, the exhaust nozzles themselves will be another piece. In fact, they are right there. So anyway, that's the brief tour. The rest of this video will be a more detailed look. The 3 pieces of the spine tube have ink markings on them that you should pair up in order that the 3 pieces are put together in the proper orientation. I've marked the position on the spine where the antenna module goes, because it has to go in this one particular spot. So if you position the antenna module where it's indicated, and then tighten the screw like this, then it will be in the location where it needs to be. Now, I would suggest that if you guys can find a way to make this more secure, this is a slip fit, and it's not really loose, but it's not really tight. It doesn't snap into place or anything, and you may want this piece to be more secure while it's hanging in the museum. I would suggest using a bit of white glue in the threads here or in the hole here, just so that when the white glue sets, it's got a bit of adhesion. This piece has to come off. If you can't take this off, then you can't get this whole section off of the spine tube. These are the spine modules. There are a total of 11 counting the antenna module, but that's a 4-sided configuration. These are all 3-sided. As you can see here, that's 3 sides. Okay, now to be accurate to the film, all of these things need to be put onto the spine in a certain order. And I have made note of which ones are which. And the way you can figure this out is, I'll use this one. If you notice, at the 12 o'clock position here on that thing, there's a little dot. It's actually a little hole. That indicates forward end. That is to say, this end faces the front of the ship. It also means that this is the top of the module, and inside you can see a number. In this case, it's the number 6. That indicates that this is the 6th module from the front end. Okay, now the thing to keep in your mind constantly while putting this together is one of these things goes between every one of these things. So, because this is already in place, all we do is we slip the spine connector on and run it down there. And then this is module 8, because this is module 7. Module 8, little hole, goes forward to the ship. So you simply slip it into place, like so, and right down. There'll be a hitch wherever there's a joint in the tube. There's 2 joints. So spine connector, forward in number 9, because the modules are numbered from 1 at the front to 11 at the back. Hole at the front, top. Actually, top at this point doesn't matter because they're going to rotate because they are loose. The reason they are kept loose is if all of these items were bonded to this flexible metal rod, tube, support, whatever you want to call it, and somebody banged into the model, if these were all bonded in place, something would crack. Okay, now, just to show you how this is going to work, I'm going to straighten that, because that's the one that's fixed. And then these simply rotate around into position. There is a correct face for these things, and there's a little chart that's included with the model so you can follow that. And it'll only matter to those people who are real sticklers for accuracy, because these things could be in any position as long as they all line up. But you can see these rotate, this one does not. It's top heavy. We don't want to have this thing flipping around and dumping the antenna off. One thing to note about the engine module, oh, there's a couple things to note. Right here are the 2 gizmos by which the rear end hangs. I call them gizmos because they're just nails. The other thing is that this little plate here will want to come off, as you can see. The screws indicated by the arrows holds this front piece onto the main body of the engine compartment. There are also markings for top and bottom. Keep in mind the top of the engine compartment is where the removable panel is. So anyway, just know that that comes off and it pops right back on. I could do it two-handed, much easier than one. There we go. Anyway, there's nothing else to say about that except that it could pop loose. Don't worry about it, it just pops right back on. Okay, this is the tough part, the only tough part. I have a friend here who's going to hang on to the spine tube so that I can shove this monstrosity of a engine compartment into place. All you have to do is get a hold of the thing and guide the pipe into the hole, and then swivel the, maneuver the engine compartment around a bit so that the pipe wants to actually go through the holes. And as you can see, it's doing that. I'm looking inside here because there's a connector that when I showed you earlier that has the screw, and this thing takes a little bit of work, but then all works. It's now in place. And I'm going to move the stand a bit further forward. There we go. And all that's left to be done now is for me to walk off camera and get the screwdriver and reach inside here and tighten this. Now, you guys don't have my stands, and I really don't need to be using them, except it's easier for the purposes of this video to have the model at this level. You guys can assemble this on a length of tables, on the floor. Doesn't really make any difference, but just know that at times you're probably going to want to have 3 people on hand. And the other thing is to have something soft underneath it, which I think you already know. Okay, I have put all of the modules into place on the spine. Do not worry about the sway you see in this image. It will be going away very soon. So, the other thing you should look at is that I positioned the antenna module in its proper location. Oh, in fact, I'll move down here. This is the antenna module, and this is where the antenna is going to sit. You want that dead vertical, that line. And so the way to get this piece to be in this proper position is to loosen the screw that's right there, and then give the whole spine a little twist until the antenna module sits in its true vertical. And that way, when you've tightened that little that screw up, the antenna module can't shift. That's why it's mounted permanently in place here in the middle of the ship. I have positioned it relative to the spacing of the modules that go between the engine module and the antenna module. These four modules here take up a specific amount of space. So when I set the screw to keep this in position, this is the correct position. So I will have numbered the spine tube pieces, because it's in 3 pieces. There'll be one here that goes attached to the thing that this is attached to, and then the other one will be there, so that all the spacing is correct. Okay, this piece is called the neck. I named it that. And this is the connector, the spine connector, that goes at the back of the neck when it's in position on the ship. So I'm showing you it here because it's just easier. It's got these 3 little arms, and these they are at 12 and 5 and 7, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, one of them points straight up. The other thing about this piece is that this is the power connection for the overall model. That's where the power goes in. So it will be top dead center when we're all finished here. So let's see how this piece fits on the spine. Now, this is the neck piece in place on the spine. The one thing I forgot to mention when it was off the spine is that inside here, let's see if I can find it. Yes, there it is. Way inside there. Can I get it on video? Yeah, there's a screw. Now, with the power connection doohickey being top dead center, that positions the neck overall. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reach around, you won't be able to see it, and tighten that screw. I don't know if I'm getting it on video or not. How about there? There. Snug. Now, the power connector here on the inside terminates in this power cable, which terminates in an 1/8 inch mini jack plug, mini plug. And this this is the power connection between the connector there and the command module, which is the ball part that we haven't discussed yet. But this is what plugs into it on the inside.